I'm sure you've heard the phrase, 1 human year equals 7 dog years. And is that true? Well, if you stay tuned to this video, I will be explaining if that is true and how dog ages work. Hi, I'm Madison. I'm a dog trainer and I'm the owner of Heel Dog Training in Flagstaff, Arizona. And let's get into it. So first, 1 human year does not actually mean 7 dog years. It is a myth, a complete myth that was started in about the 1950s, and no one's really sure why it started or how it started. There are a couple of theories that run out there. One theory is that humans live to about 70 years old at this time and dogs live to about 10 years old at this time, so the 7-to-1 ratio. Or some people think it was a marketing ploy, which I think it was probably that, started by veterinarians and people in the dog industry to start getting people to bring their dogs to the vet once a year. Now, because that was kind of not a big thing at that time, they were like, hey, we really need to explain to people that dogs age a lot faster than humans, and so they're going to start getting all of these medical issues faster. So they started the marketing ploy of dogs age 7 years to 1 human year, because that's really easy to understand, right? Well, now that more research has come out, we've actually found out that 7 years to 1 year is not even close. Dogs just age physically and emotionally much different than humans. Now, we don't really know why smaller dogs live longer than larger dogs, but scientists kind of think that it's because of the rapid physical growth through the large dog's genes and stuff like that, that makes them more susceptible to cancer and hip dysplasia and different things like that. But they have concluded that for every 4.4 pounds of mass on a dog's body, it takes away about a month of their life. So that's why really large dogs don't really live that long. They live, maybe 10, maybe 12 years if you're lucky, and small dogs can live, 15, 16 years. I've even seen a 20-year-old little Chihuahua. So, it's really up to the dog how you care for it, and the size really does matter when it comes to dogs. So with that, the dogs, like I said, do not age chronologically. They age in chunks. So the first year of a dog's life is about 15 years of a human's life. However, for those really big dogs, it's about 12 years. And so that's why you might have a 1-year-old Chihuahua who is acting a little bit more mature around other dogs than a 1-year-old Great Dane. The Great Dane is maybe, that big floppy, I haven't figured out my paws yet, my ears are still pretty big, I just have that really playful puppy nature still. Where a 1-year-old Chihuahua is kind of just like, meh, I might play with you a little bit, but not really. And of course this is dependent on each individual dog as well. For social maturity, it happens between 1 and 3 years. And so that's why that Chihuahua might be a little bit more socially mature at 1 year old, versus the Swiss Mountain Dog that I'm training right now, who's a year old, and she's just a little baby, still tripping over her paws, still got that good puppy spirit, still unsure of the world, that kind of thing. Now, what are the behavioral implications of your dog's age? Why does any of this even matter? Well, dogs have 2 fear periods in their life, and each fear period lasts about 2 to 3 weeks. Now, it's hard to gauge when your dog's fear period first starts unless you're paying very close attention to everything that they're doing, their behavior, all that stuff. However, for most dogs, the first fear period starts from 8 to 11 weeks. This is just they're very puppy, they're figuring out the world. Anything can really scare them and traumatize them. Now, their second fear period starts between 6 months and 14 months. Now, that's a really big range. So you really want to figure out, what makes your dog age, how fast they're aging, really keep up on their behavior. You're going to start to notice that they're in that fear period because they're going to get stubborn about a lot of things. Now, your dog's not actually being stubborn. They're just figuring out the world. They're in this fear period, which basically means that they're just hyper aware of everything that's going on around them. They're looking, they're smelling, they're touching, they're experiencing the world at a whole new level that they haven't experienced before. And everything is new to them, which means everything's a little bit scary. They don't really know how to handle these situations. They're figuring it all out, right? And during this time, it's really, really important that you don't have anything happen to them that could impact them for life. Because in these fear periods, if something happens to them that they consider to be really scary, that's going to traumatize them for the rest of their life. For example, my dog, I took her to the dog park. This was before I was a dog trainer, before I knew all this stuff. But I took her to the dog park when she was younger. I think she was about a year old, I'd say. So she was in her second fear period. She entered her second fear period kind of earlier on because she's a medium-ish dog. So I took her to the dog park. We're having a good time. She's running around with other dogs. She always has stayed close to me, but she would venture off, see all these other dogs, all this stuff. Then all of a sudden, we were standing. It was like a big field. We were just standing right in the middle, and she was standing in front of me, and I was just standing there watching her because cute little puppy exploring other dogs. Other dogs would come up to her, and she would play a little bit, but then she'd stay by me. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, across the field, a huge German Shepherd, probably around 100, maybe even more pounds of German Shepherd, just comes straight running towards us, literally from a long ways away. And I don't know what set this dog off, whether he was just aggressive towards younger puppies. There are so many reasons why he reacted this way. But either way, he ran straight towards us and just latched onto my dog, started attacking her, all this stuff. I had to pick her up in my arms, and she was about 40 pounds at this time. And obviously I'm not a very big person, so I'm holding her, and I'm basically just trying to kick this German Shepherd off because he's still coming for my dog while she's in my arms, which could get me bit as well. So at this time, someone eventually took the dog off of her, but because of this scenario, she was scared of German Shepherds for the longest time. We had to do a lot of backtracking work, a lot of socialization with different German Shepherds to show her, hey, it's okay, not every German Shepherd is going to attack you. Now that's a very big example of what can happen with a fear period. However, it could literally be anything. Your dog is in the car and you slam the door a little bit too hard to the point where your dog's just like, oh wow, cars are scary now. And they bring that into their adult life where they're just scared of cars, and you're gonna have to backtrack and train them to let them know, hey, no, it's okay, cars are okay. It literally can just be a dog from across the street barks at them, and now they think, ooh, dog barks are scary. It can be very small things or those very big things. You just have to be really careful with your dogs during this period. Then there are the terrible twos. And no, they're not just for humans. They're definitely for dogs as well. Some dogs enter this a little bit before 2 years, and some will enter a little bit after 2 years. It really depends, again, on their own maturity. However, you will definitely know when they enter this stage, because the terrible twos is their challenging phase. I always say that the terrible twos in dogs is basically like a teenager in human years. A teenager is going to push all their parents' buttons. They're going to say, hey, I know my curfew is 12, but let's see if mom says anything if I show up at 12:15. Let's see if she says anything the next time if I show up at 12:30. Oh, okay, I can get away with this with mom. I can get away with this with dad. They're learning all of these things. The dogs are also, going, hey, you're my leader, but is there anything I can get away with? I know you said to sit, but how about I just don't? Because I want to see what you're going to do if I don't listen. And because every scenario is a different thing for a dog, they're going to push your buttons a lot. They're going to go from listening completely 100% amazing to defying you just because they can. And it's up to you to stay stern, to work through this challenging phase, to show them you can't push my buttons, I'm still going to be your leader. Rules are rules. Dogs are very black and white on the rules. But if you give them leeway for, hey, I said sit, and you didn't sit the first time, so I said sit, 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 the dog is now going to learn, oh, I don't have to sit until mom says it 4 times. Instead, you say sit, they don't listen, you go, that's not what you were trying to do. Let's try again. You're supposed to listen on the first time. And this is where a lot of foundational training will really come in handy, because you'll know what to do, you'll know how to work through it with your dog, and they'll know how to work through it. However, during this stage, you really have to be that strict parent, because otherwise they really are. You're gonna give them an inch and they're gonna take that mile. So that's the next biggest phase. Like I said, maybe before 2, maybe a little after 2, but it's always around that time, their adolescent phase. So and then they've got their adult years, they're living their lives, and then they're gonna enter into their senior years. And that also depends on your dog, also depends on how big they are, when they start showing those signs. But I'm sure you'll know the senior signs. They'll not be able to get up as fast, they might have bladder issues, they're definitely going to get those cute little grays on their face. So, and that's how aging in dogs works. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me at madison@heel-dogtraining.com, or if you're looking for training in the Flagstaff, Arizona area. This has been letter A in the ABCs of dogs, and tune in for next week for letter B